cloud.
Oh my gosh.
I wish we can change the voice of the person that says this meeting is being recorded. You know how like
that? This meeting is being recorded.
well, like, can't you change Siri's voice and like Google
Yeah.
Assistant's voice? I want like a old British guy.
This meeting is being recorded. Is that good? I don't even know.
That's horrible. That's not what I want. Welcome, folks. Everyone's taking a while to connect to audio.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. People are jumping in. Cool, cool. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. This week flew. I guess it was a short week for most.
I can't even remember as far back as Monday. What are you talking about?
What was Monday?
What is time? I was telling Mark earlier, I'm struggling today. I feel like I have cobwebs in my brain and my eyeballs and my sinuses.
Not a good look.
And yeah, I hydrated, I got caffeinated. I don't know. I'm still struggling. Slowly waking up, I guess, but
how's it going, Danny? Kat, Rachel, Amber. Happy Friday.
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done with my school semester, so I'm like a free person. It's weird. It's definitely an adjustment.
How was the end of the semester?
It was really nice.
Oh, I was expecting you to say like it was super crazy.
Well, yeah, but I was well working with Jason. Like he's pretty cool, and he was my professor for 2 classes.
Mm-hmm.
But
nice.
Yeah, I had one class that was like history, ancient times class, and that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
But yeah. I made it through.
Very cool. He's been on my mind. I need to give him a call over the summer. I'm planning the climate designers class at CCA for fall, and it's hybrid, so we don't have to be on campus. And so I know he does a lot of like crazy cool fun like field trips and outdoor excursions. So I need to Jason-fy my class for the fall. So
yeah, he's great. He's out west working right now.
Oh, did he make it to Utah?
Yep.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How's it going, Amber?
It's good. How are you guys?
Yeah, not bad.
Welcome.
Yeah. Very cool. Hey, Rachel.
How's it going, Rachel?
What's up, Kat? I don't know if Kat's there yet. She's probably getting coffee. Yeah, well, thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday morning, afternoon, evening. Not sure where everyone is, but yeah, it's the end of the week. Hey, there you are, Kat.
Hey, I just found out I'm going to have to call my vet. My dog apparently is not doing well, so I'm going to be a little bit more muted on this.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Take care of your pets.
Sending them good vibes.
Thanks. Did you guys happen to get my note?
Yes, I was just realizing that I haven't responded yet, and I totally will do that. We're trying to figure out where all the cards are falling so that I have a good response for you.
Sure, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Sarah. What do you want to bring up first?
Yeah, absolutely. We have had some really cool conversations going on the Mighty Network. I don't know if anyone has been noticing all of the chit chat that's been going on. One of the ones that I wanted to bring up is the post that Sasha posted. Just, Sasha's been really good at posting prompts for the week. And she asked, let's discuss how you break from the expectations of a designer's typical responsibilities in your work as a climate designer. I would love to hear some different perspectives, strategies, or challenges this community has experienced. Have you ever been told to stay in your lane as a designer or felt that pressure? And I thought that was really cool because we've been talking a lot about stepping up into our role as leaders, especially climate leaders, as designers. If you were at the podcast recording where we had Shauna and Brian on and chatting about leadership, this question is very related to that. And so I think there's that dichotomy between like, I'm just a designer and I'm supposed to focus on this and only this, versus I'm going to step up and, you know, maybe expand out of that role and influence my business or the business that I work for in other ways to help them be more sustainable, because it does relate to my work as a designer. If I'm a brand designer, it relates to their brand. If I am a industrial designer, it definitely relates if I'm talking about the processes and materials used and all of that. So it's really related, but it can be seen as unrelated when you step up and start influencing things that seem a little bit outside of your lane. So I thought that was a really cool thing that Sasha brought up, and a really interesting discussion topic that developed a lot of cool comments and things. But I'd love to check with the group here and see if you have any, you know, experiences of being told to stay in your lane or branching out and being more of a leader, and how you know, what's your relationship with that?
And just for everyone on the call, I posted the link to the post in the chat. Hey, Rachel.
I just started recently, like in the middle of April, working for an economic development company. And it's called an economic development company, but it's just a lending service right now. They're trying to become a certified economic development company, but they're like forcing like 2 years for that to happen. But I feel like I'm in a position, a pretty new position, but I feel like I could definitely influence some positive changes. And we service like business owners. And so like this is an interesting topic to visit, because I just don't even know, like as a new employee, somebody just coming in, it's like sometimes hard to just be like, well, hey guys, I see how you're doing everything and you have been doing this for years and years, but I'm gonna suggest we do this and this and this and this and this and change pretty much everything. But I mean, I don't want to change everything, but there's definitely some opportunities I can see where like sustainability could come into play a lot more, and just even having sparking the conversation in this kind of like environment.
Yeah.
So even just sparking the conversation is a little difficult as like a newcomer, but I definitely want to try.
I mean, it's a great first step, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, especially as a newcomer, like you said, you're probably not going to change things overnight. It's probably going to take a lot of small actions to do that, but just sparking the conversation and then just hoping that that kind of spreads throughout the organization. Yeah, I think it's a great first step.
Yeah, I had experiences like this early in my career that I think shaped who I am and where I am today. Um, I've told bits and pieces of this story in various different meetups, but my background is in UX design, software design. But before that, I was in graphic design, branding design. So I was working for like a branding design agency. And you know, one of the things that I did there is I would make recommendations about the user experience before I even knew what the term user experience meant, because I just think about things from the user's perspective, and that's good design to me. And so I would make comments that eventually led my creative director to tell me about this new term she was hearing on the blogs and in the trends about user experience, right? So anyway, long story short, I ended up transitioning from that branding agency over to a software agency, not agency, company. And this company had done things the way that other software companies had been doing things for ages, and they were failing. They were still trying to become, what do they call it? Profit, revenue positive or whatever. They were still surviving on investor VC funding, and they were getting comments from their user base that their software was really hard to use, that their software was sort of unintelligible, even though it did all of the functional things that it needed to do. And they were realizing that competitors were starting to take their users away, and they needed to invest in their user experience. So they hired me and a couple of other designers all at the same time, started building a design team. I think they were on their like H round of funding, which usually doesn't go to H. It's usually like once you raise a B round, you need to be generating profit. So they were struggling. And so I would say that they probably invested in their design team a little bit too little too late. But anyway, I came in and started saying things like, we need to start talking to our users. And you know, my fellow designers were saying the same things as well. So like they hired a design team to change things, to make them revenue generating, to make them profitable. And they were resistant to the things that we were saying because the things that we were saying are hard. You know, changing the things that you're doing are hard. And I think that there is a fine line between digging in your heels and insisting that these are the right things to do for your business versus like navigating the political, like I still want people to like me and I still want people to like not fire me, but I don't know. I was very stubborn, and I really dug my heels in, and eventually the company was struggling, and the rest of the design team got laid off, but me, I was the only one left. So I think they recognized that what I was doing was the right thing. Otherwise, they would have laid me off first. Anyway, I saw the writing on the wall and just, left eventually. And I think, I don't know, the company, like, I don't know, I moved on. But it was a really interesting experience, and I think shaped the way that I lead, for better or worse. I'm pretty stubborn, I'm pretty blunt, and I'm kind of a bulldozer. And I go into a company and I have my strong opinions about how things should be, but I also, along the way, try to learn things about persuasion and influence and politics, really, how to do that in a more empathetic, compassionate way. And I still have a lot to learn there because I am really stubborn. And you don't want to be a doormat and get walked over, but some of these things are better for the business, and people need to see that. So you need to figure out, I guess, what things can be communicated and in what ways in order to really be heard and actually make an impact. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters, is you want to make the change and make the impact. But sometimes being stubborn is the way to do that. And sometimes being diplomatic and getting people on your side through persuasion and empathy and compassion and other things like that are the way to do that, building relationships, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. And I like how you mentioned like continuing to learn and study about like persuasion itself and communication and empathy. And I think that's going to be important because we're like a native CDFI. So part of the CDFI fund that we get our grants through, like millions of dollars, is to go into the native community to like, the economic development and the infrastructure of the community and everything. So it's like I'm in a great position right now. I think my boss is really great. He's really open to like ideas and stuff. I just need to like be confident, I guess, and knowledgeable, and then just, I don't know, find where I want to make an impact, I think, because I feel like there's so many ways I want to just like fix everything, but I need to like focus. But yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you define CDFI for all of us on the call?
It is a community development financial institution. So instead of like traditional banks, where they have just a little bit more lenient like lending options. I'm not sure about the interest rates. I think they might be a little more lenient too. And it's just to try to not, I think it's to try to not like give out predatory loans where people are, it's hurting people. It's trying more to help, but I don't see a huge difference. Like people still have to pay on their loans and we're still making a profit. So I don't know.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, once we start getting more, I'm excited to start getting more into like the economic development itself, because I think I could make a huge impact, especially having climate designers behind me and all of these like, you know, ideas and values and beliefs. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
that's what we're here for. We're here to support you. So let us know what you need to
Okay,
do
yeah,
that. Because
cool.
yeah, I think
Same.
you're acknowledging and recognizing, you know, points of leverage and places where you can make real impact. And you're also acknowledging that there's a balance there. So how do you do that in the right way?
Yes.
So I think I'd mentioned this before I went on vacation, but the book that I took with me, and now it's not showing up because I have my virtual background, so let me turn that off. Whoops. Anyway, the book that I took with me was How to Save the World. And it was basically really awesome. And one of the interesting things about it that I thought, and some of this stuff we had already learned at our climate party. It's pretty much how to persuade people to actually make change. But one of the interesting things that I found in there was that really you have to define a God metric and what a God metric is, and it's pretty much that no matter what we're doing, if we're not affecting the bottom line of actually making change to the planet, that am I on video?
We
No.
lost your video, but yeah,
Sorry.
there you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, here we go. I thought I was showing you all this. Anyway, no matter what you are doing, if you're not actually impacting change to our planet, then you're not really doing anything. So for example, if you have an Instagram account and you have 5,000 followers and you're counting the number of followers that you get and you keep getting more, that doesn't really mean anything. So it's like getting down to the nitty gritty and like, what is it that we're actually influencing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's Katie Patrick's book. And we actually asked her to come and speak about that guiding metric idea. She was on vacation in Cuba at the time, so we couldn't get her scheduled in time. But that book and her thinking on that guiding metric, the God metric, is hugely influential. And one of the main principles of the things that we put together for Party Program, I'm so glad that you connected the dots as well, is that designers must make measurable change. And it's that measurable change that is totally influenced by her God metric idea. And she's really, really good at helping people narrow down on what is it that you're trying to do and what is that number, how do you measure it, and how do you move that number in the right direction. And you're right, it's not the business metrics that we often use. You know, you might say a business is successful if it's generating a lot of revenue, but if what we're trying to do is, like in Danny's case, develop a community and help that community flourish, then the business profit might not be that guiding metric. How do you measure that this community is flourishing? What are those
how do you
numbers?
what's the metric that you're actually trying to create? And I haven't found mine yet, actually, to be honest. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out.
That is wonderful. I'm definitely going to get that book. Makes me really excited. It's like
It is.
actionable. Actionable
It's
item.
a great book.
Yeah,
we
and
didn't-
that difference between motion and action, like having the Instagram account, putting your message out there, that's the motion. But then what's the action behind it that's going to get you the measurable change? Like, love it.
I love that, motion and action, because we can do a lot of motion and look really busy. We can look like we're doing a lot, but we're not actually doing something
Yeah.
until we get the action.
Yeah, I got that idea out of Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah,
I
I
love
want to
that
listen
book
to
too.
it again, actually.
Mhm.
it's on my reading list.
Oh, highly
Have it
recommend.
in
Yeah,
print.
I know.
Wonderful.
Going back to Katie Patrick, I sent a link in the chat for you all. We did
Saw that.
interview her
Thank
a
you.
couple years ago.
Oh, I didn't
She's
know that.
a good friend of ours. Yeah, she's great. I wish she was able to make it to the summit, but next time, and we can always do stuff with her outside as well, outside of that. So
Yeah, and in terms of atomic habits, there's actually a good article that I saw recently about how to apply that to climate. So I'll see if I can dig that up
Oh, cool.
and send it to you guys. But yeah, I have that as a hardcover and as an audio book. I love it so much.
Nice. I love these chats because we are always sharing this wealth of links and resources that fuel us through the week.
Yeah.
it's been, speaking of the week, we posted a few days ago. I'm going to pull this up, get my phone out. We posted a few days ago on the Climate Designers Instagram account. So post party program, Sarah and I had just a lot of thoughts and emotions about climate designers because we saw what the party program did, and it reached a lot more people and got a lot more energy into the initiative. And one of the big insights that we had post the summit was, what if every designer were a climate designer? And if I can kind of share this, I think if anything, it's been our recent newest North Star that we're keeping an eye on, and everything that we've been doing post summit is addressing that question. And so we just thought it would be fun to pose that question to our online community, and it's been really interesting to see people's responses. I'll read a few here. We posted it actually just yesterday. Okay, so someone, I'll just quickly share out a few. I want to get it on the call, but someone said more knowledge about climate and sustainability within all industries. Okay, we can get down with that. We would have an amazing ecosystem of circularity. Very cool. What if every designer were a climate designer? A lot less plastic and paper waste, definitely. So, and speaking of Katie, she gave us a little emoji response. But yeah, we'll love to hear your comments or thoughts about that question. What if every designer were a climate designer? And maybe be interesting to hear. Maybe Amber, we haven't heard from you. If you want, you don't have to. But maybe even Danny too. Being still in school and kind of seeing it in an academic institution. Imagine if all your classes had climate at the core, or maybe Kat, I don't know. So, or Rachel.
That would be just fantastic. Like, yeah, I can go. Sometimes I'm like, what if every musician were a climate musician? Like, I think about
Exactly.
anybody that's like, the earth has stake in everything we do in life itself. Like, it's insane how it's just so many people are just walking around ignoring that and just like, oh, it's fine, this is how things are and this is how it's always been, and resisting to change. Like, it blows my mind. It's overwhelming a little bit. But like, if every class I was in had climate at the core, I would be thinking I'm getting like a lot more out of my education because like this past semester, after I did the party, actually, I put it at the core of everything I was doing. So any other school classes, like Jason's classes, do that. He got me into that. Like, and yeah, he got me into that space. And like my other classes were just like, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to get that done so I can work on this. Like, it was, yeah, it would be a lot more bang for your buck for being in school.
Yeah, I think on that note, if everyone was a climate designer, like instantly right now, like marketing make up so much of like how we function and how we think. Like, if automatically all advertisements were promoting like a sustainable like economy and like eco products, and I don't know, I think it would actually change everything because everyone's influenced by marketing and ads, and everything's like subliminal messages, and like, you know, we're taught to like think how they think and like learn their demographic and whatever, like, and people don't even realize they're being influenced every day by how many ads and how many like, you know, whatever is out there. So I think, you know, just by having like graphic designers or like marketers become climate marketers or whatever, I think that would automatically change at least the US, because the amount of like marketing that's happening over here is ridiculous.
Yeah,
That'd be crazy.
exactly. Like there's so much of it that's culture change, and you're kind of getting at the idea that it's subliminal or almost unconscious, but the ways that we influence culture are really somewhat invisible. And you know, you're also kind of hinting at biases and things that sneak into everything we do that we don't consciously realize. But as designers, if we become conscious about it, we can totally influence all of that. And you're right, it would just be a huge shift without like knocking people over the head and saying we must be good environmentalists. Like that's not what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's almost like those kind of ideas were like originally intentional, you know, but it kind of grew into this bigger thing where it becomes just the daily thing that people are just used to. But like I feel like there was definitely intention behind how everything got created, and it was all having to do with like money and profits.
And preying on our subconscious, preying on all of our fears, like digging into our brains, into that like primal instinct to be like, you got to be afraid of this and spend money to buy this to make you safe, or you got to hate yourself in some way so that you buy this to make you feel more beautiful. Like working in entertainment advertising, like going back to the original question about like staying in your lane, that's something that I actually was fired over years ago. Nice. Eventually, for, you know, constantly speaking up. I was working at this huge, should I just name them? A huge studio. So television, movies, whatever. And, you know, I had a creative director that would just tell me like, pick your battles. You have to stop caring so much, blah, blah, blah. When I would like openly stand up against like, you know, these VP level old dudes in meetings talking about like, you know, kind of like these very anti-feminist, showing women in these, you know, traditionally very demeaning ways. Like there was one show that we were working on, and one of my friends, a Black woman, was on the poster, and they're like, oh, you know, you got to show her like rolling her eyes and being that typical like sassy, angry Black woman. And I was like, no, that's not her character. That's not who she is. Like, that's your own bias. Like, and you know, like, and so yeah, I would always stand up for, or like, oh, this woman's like a wild and crazy judge, let's just show her in a judge robe naked. And I'm like, would you ask a male actor to do that for his show? Like, think about the message that you're putting out into prime time television. Like, this is wrong. So yes, it wasn't about the environment, but it was about our like mental environment, like the biases that we hold, and trying to shift that culture for like this, you know, primetime network television. Yeah, like do better. Like,
absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, because I think it's a really good, I mean, I applaud anyone who gets fired for standing up for their work. Like, you are a hero. I think more of us need to stand up and be willing to get fired for trying to make an influence at work. And I know that that's coming from a place of privilege. I know some people just can't afford to do that. But if you can, and you know, I think one of the things, you know, I know it's the top of the hour, so if you have to drop off, that's great. But I just want to finish a few thoughts and make sure that we all feel complete. like if we know how influential and powerful design is, and we know that design is in demand, we are very lucky and very privileged to be skilled as designers to take on a career that there are more businesses that need designers than there are skilled designers in the supply and demand balance. And so that is one of our privileges. We can afford to get fired and go find another job usually. So I applaud anybody who stands up for social impact, social justice, environmental. It's all the same. You know, we need to push corporations to work for us, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, well, on that note, great discussion. I mean, this could be a whole hour conversation, but we want to be mindful of time. But yeah, let's have more of these during these coffee breaks. Yeah, this would be great.
Has everybody watched Chasing Coral here? Okay, it's one of those, just like going back to what we were just discussing, there are so many, I think, documentaries out there that show what's happening to our planet that people are not aware of. And Chasing Coral, it was a Netflix one that was created in 2017, and it covers the coral bleaching that was going on that year. And actually, I think it took more than a year to complete that documentary, but just amazing. Like, I think if people had more awareness about some of these things that are so hidden, like the ocean takes up so much of our junk, then maybe that would be a good activator for people.
Well, with that, that kind of reminded me that like when Seaspiracy came out, I feel like a lot of environmentalists and like vegans had like a bone to pick with how they like portrayed like the whole situation. They kind of, it seemed like they cut out a lot of stuff to like make it in a time limit because they didn't like fully finish their thought. But then a lot of like my like regular friends that are doing regular things, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, there's so much more they could have added. Like I'm like, you know, and I find that that's so interesting. Like they didn't realize these things, and like, you know, movies and ads and all this stuff. Like if it was just brought to the public eye, like I feel like everyone would just, you know, make more of a conscious effort to just switch over to, you know, more sustainable means.
Yeah, a little less Marvel and a little bit more reality.
Right.
Yeah, that documentary definitely brought up a lot of discussion as well. Again, another hour-long conversation we can have.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for another Friday, y'all.
This has been really good. Thank you,
guys.
Yeah. So
have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah,
I gotta go. Hopefully, my dog's okay.
Yeah, good
Coffee
luck with your
break.
puppies.
Thank you.
all right, y'all. Take care. We'll see you all. Check out the events on Mighty real quick. There's a handful coming up, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for coming.